Okay, so first and foremost, unless you are of African descent, unless you're a part of the African diaspora, okay, living in this country, then the question was not for you. Because I said us, okay? I said us, not y'all. I said us, okay? Meaning melanated people, okay? Okay, black people, okay? The black melanated people. Okay, so let's go back to the beginning of America, okay? And we will go with the Revolutionary War, okay? So literally the first person who died in the Revolutionary War, Crispus Attucks. You should actually go read the whole story because he was not a patriot. He was not an American. He was an enslaved person protecting his master, and they just left him there. Okay, boom. So let's go back to all these people who again who were either had papers of manumission or who were still enslaved and who were quote unquote trying to fight for America, right? And so let's see. So we have these people who were enslaved and that their masters, because again, patriots had enslaved people, kept enslaved people, and and still furthered the institution of slavery in America. Okay, so what did they receive? They were not even Americans. Okay, so first of all, these people who fought were considered 3/5 of. Oh wait, no, they weren't even people because they weren't even 3/5 of a person yet because America wasn't there, so they didn't have any. We didn't have the need for the representation and stuff like that. So no, that wasn't even in there because that amendment wasn't even in there. So they weren't even people. They were chattel. They were property. Okay, so no, they weren't Americans. They were property, doing what their kidnappers forced them to do with a fake thing saying, "Oh, if you fight, we'll give you papers and manumission." And so a super less than 1% of the people who actually fought for the patriots, for the colonies, actually got letters of manumission, and then the people who already had letters of manumission and fought for the colonies still did not receive citizenship. They were not citizens of the newly America. Okay, so then we can fast forward to the Civil War. Let's go to the Civil War. So we have all these again either they were manumitted, either they ran away from bondage. Well, either they were manumitted or they ran away from bondage. Like those were the only two categories that we were. And so by this time we were 3/5 of a person. Okay, and that was only on paper. That was only on paper because even abolitionists didn't think we were equal human beings. Okay, they thought we were like humanish, right? And they thought we were like humanish, but they didn't believe in the institution of slavery because they were like, yeah, they're humanish, they kind of got a soul, but you free them and just and send them somewhere else that's not here. Either send them back to Africa, send them to Mexico, send them to Canada, but we don't really want them living with us either. Okay, so again, they weren't considered Americans. Okay. And so now we're 3/5 of the people. We're fighting in the Civil War, okay. And so we're fighting in the Civil War, and you should go watch the movie Glory. Watch the movie Glory. So they're fighting in the Civil War. They are oftentimes, and even when they were fighting in, and even when they were fighting in the Revolutionary War, they were used as body shields. Body shields. They were used as hard manual labor. Body shields. Okay. Still not being a person. Like they're still not equal. Still not being a person. George Washington himself had a whole bunch of enslaved people. Okay. So again, what is this? They're Americans. They weren't Americans. So they fought the Civil War. So America now becomes America. And so a lot of those soldiers, after the war was over with, right, first they fought in segregated units where they could only be non-commissioned officers because, again, as a whole, the nation did not think that we were capable of leading ourselves, commanding troops, things of that nature, okay? So, again, they were used as body shields. They even faced racism in the same army that they were fighting for. So after the war, Confederates were treated better than they were treated. A lot of them didn't get pensions. A lot of them suffered violence from Northern and Southerners alike because, again, they were not considered Americans. Because hence we have civil rights movement. So we have that. We have all these other wars. And so what do? They go in the Buffalo Soldiers. Go look them up. So again, they use the Buffalo Soldiers, model minority. It's a model minority institution. And so they use the black soldiers again to buffer, to fight the indigenous people, well, to eradicate the indigenous people, because the black people hope that, well, if we do the white man's dirty work for them, maybe they will think that we are American and we're for. And so a lot of them weren't being paid correctly. A lot of them didn't get their pensions. A lot of them died in poverty. Okay, so I don't think you know your history, and you don't have to know who I am, and you don't even talk about you don't know what I am. I'm an African American. That's what I am. I'm African American because the colonizers stole my people from West and Central Africa. Okay, and either took us to the Caribbean first and then brought us here, or just brought us straight here from West and Central Africa. That's who I am. Okay, that I'm here. I'm a person having a conversation with my people, with the African diaspora. Okay, so now that was, the Indian Wars and things of that nature. Let's talk about Vietnam. You want to talk about Vietnam? Because Vietnam wasn't even really a war; it was just a conflict because Congress did not approve that. So he just went over there dropping bombs on these people because they was like, you know what, we don't want to be controlled by the French or anything anymore. We want our own country. We know how to. Like, we've been doing this before y'all came and decided y'all wanted our stuff. Okay, and so again, what did they do? They drafted. Because again, because we just skipped through. Oh, I'm sorry, I skipped World War I, World War II. So let's go World War I, World War II. So again, so here we go. We had Spanish War, all that, blah, blah, blah. Same thing. We're the shields. We're black bodies. We're the shields. We were the grunts. We were this. We were that. Let's go to World War I. Okay, we're still segregated. They're segregated, and they drafted mainly out of the South. Sharecroppers' sons and the blacks that were in poverty, and especially out of the southern states. Because why? Because the white people paid to dodge the draft, or just simply dodge the draft. Okay. And for my people, it was a death sentence either way, because either you was gonna go fight in the army and at least you got paid something, you was gonna go fight in the military, at least you got paid something, or they was gonna arrest you and put you on a chain gang and work you to death. So that same thing happened. They were fighting and segregated. Segregation didn't even end in the military until after the Korean War, if I'm not mistaken. And I only got 10 minutes, so I can't go through all the wars with you. So you talk about, we were never considered American. We're still not considered American. We are just the sword and shield for a capitalist, white supremacist country. Period.